Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Zombies has a plethora of weapons that you can choose from throughout your runs, some more better than others, but why not know what weapon is actually the best to use during your runs? In this tier list, I'm going to be ranking each weapon based on 3 factors, which is viability, high rounds, and accessibility. If you're wondering what I mean by viability, I guess what I should say is survivability, how long the weapon can actually help you survive throughout your rounds. Let's get into it, starting with the assault rifles. The first weapon that we're going to be ranking is the NV4 itself, a fantastic weapon and is honestly a great weapon when it comes to accessibility throughout each of the DLC zombie maps. Not only doing great damage, but is even great if you want to use it throughout the Easter egg. I know I personally use it when it comes to Attack of the Radioactive Thing, Shell and Shuffle. I wouldn't really use it for Beast from Beyond because you're going to have your weapon slots taken up from other factors, but it's definitely a good weapon if you want to get it. Even in Spaceland, you can get it from the arcade. It definitely deserves the A tier. Up next, we have the RK3, a 3-round burst energy rifle, and it's okay. Accessibility, it's pretty decent. It's on through some of the maps, it is a wall buy, but honestly, there are just better options out there. The drop off is pretty fast, and also when it comes to talking about the pack-a-punch, I will only be referring to the double pack-a-punch weapons, since that is the standard, assuming you're going for the Easter eggs or trying to complete the quests. And the RK3 just isn't really that viable. It's only good if you want to get some points, I guess. But in terms of damage output, you're definitely going to want to switch it out for something else. I would definitely say it's top of D tier. Up next, we have the K-Bar 32, a full auto ballistic rifle, and this weapon, honestly, is one of my favorites when it comes to the assault rifles. I don't know, I find myself using this thing from time to time without even realizing, and it's not only good for points, good for damage, but is actually pretty viable and can help you survive up until the late 20s, early 30s if you want to keep sticking with this weapon. I honestly recommend it. It's very easy to get out of the box. I think you can also get it from the wall through a couple of the maps. I can't really remember off the top of my head. But in terms of accessibility as well, if you want to replenish your ammo, very easy to do so. Unlike our next weapon, which is only available inside of the mystery wheel, the Type 2. The Type 2 is a fully automatic energy rifle, but it also splits into akimbo pistols. If there's something else I want to mention as well when it comes to this weapon tier list, is I'm not going to be talking about any of the weapon variants. In my opinion, to make a tier list about the actual weapon variants, it will just really convolute things because some weapons that are F tier or just really bad get completely overpowered, and I feel like it will just create this unbalance, especially for the fact that if you want to unlock a legendary weapon variant, it's 4,000 scrap, which is a lot to get. So I feel like that's not really fair because the chances of everyone using legendary variants is slim to none. I don't mean to say this really late in the video, but I thought I would just clarify that now if you're wondering why some weapons are placed where they are. This is just the standard weapon that everyone gets when they buy Infinite Warfare. The Type 2 does have the shotgun variant, which makes it completely overpowered and an S tier weapon, but on its own, I do feel like it is a C tier weapon. You're gonna run out of ammo pretty fast. It does semi-decent damage, but the drop-off within the mid-20s hits pretty hard, and obviously if you're running out of ammo, you're gonna need to switch out your weapon for something else. Up next for the assault rifles is the Volk, a fully automatic energy rifle, and is a very, very accessible weapon. In my opinion, I'm putting it just below the NV4 because this weapon is not only accessible, but it does great damage, especially when it's double pack-a-punched. I use this thing all the time within Shell and Shuffle. Just an easy weapon to grab, especially if you want something on the go right away. It does amazing damage during the early rounds. When it comes to high rounds, you can just keep on buying ammo from it. Sure, you're gonna have to switch it out after round 40 for something else like a wonder weapon, but honestly, just for how accessible this weapon is and for how great the damage is for an assault rifle, I recommend it, and that's why it's near the top of A tier. Now up next for our assault rifles is the RVN, which is a 2-round burst automatic energy rifle, and this weapon is pretty terrible. Even when you go into the secondary mode, which is just a melee mode, it's pretty terrible. Even if you have Slappy Taffy, this weapon is just not viable in any sort of way. You can only access it within the mystery wheel, and it just doesn't give you the damage that you need on the early rounds or in the later rounds especially, which is why this is our first weapon with an F tier. The next weapon we're going to be talking about, which is only accessible within the mystery wheel, is the X-Eon, and I not only find this weapon being really unique, which is a fully automatic energy rifle, which I know we've heard a million times at this point, but I just love the look and design of this thing, and it feels really smooth. I like the reticle. I don't know, something about this gun feels right. But in my opinion, I think it's at the top of B tier. I've used it when it comes to Easter eggs, high rounds, and just in terms of surviving, I think it's a great weapon. It's very, very accurate as well, which is nice. It doesn't have a lot of spread when you fire it. And our last weapon when it comes to the assault rifles is going to be the G-Rail. I always forget that this weapon is an assault rifle, but if I were to put it within the tier list, it belongs in C tier. But the damage output for this weapon is just not the best in my opinion. I think it's decent if you want to do high rounds, but I don't know, something about it is just a little bit lackluster. It has decent accuracy, it has decent range, but in terms of mobility, you definitely want to use something else. There are definitely better options for you to use, and as I said, it is within the mystery wheel, so it's just a little bit harder to get. So in terms of accessibility, it isn't the best. But with that being said, now we can transition onto the submachine guns. Now the submachine guns within Infinite Warfare are honestly really well rounded in my opinion. They not only create for fast movement, but in terms of viability, a lot of them are just fantastic to use or just great point weapons. And the first weapon that I want to put in S tier is going to be the FHR-40. This weapon is an absolute machine. It's not only great within each and every Easter egg, but the damage output once it's double pack-a-punched is just absolutely absurd. The only gripe I have about this weapon is that the ammo isn't the best since you can run out of it really quickly, but it's honestly a great to get off me tool. The damage is just that extraordinary. The fire spread is a little bit atrocious, but if you're killing zombies from a medium to close range, it's also pretty decent. So that's why this weapon is the first to be in the S tier category. Up next, we have the ERAD, and the ERAD, it's okay. It's a great starting weapon within the first 10 to 15 rounds, especially if you want to collect more points. Just kind of have the money flowing as you're still opening up the map. That is the point of the ERAD. It's not really meant to be this crazy output damage weapon. So with that being said, I think it belongs just under the RK3. Up next, we have the Karma 45, and honestly, I always forget that this gun exists. It's not something that I ever go for, and in terms of damage, it doesn't do that well, even within the early and later rounds. You're never going to use this thing when it comes to Easter eggs, and just for accessibility, sure, it's on the wall, which is nice. You can purchase it throughout a couple of the maps, but it's just something that you're going to forget about. As I said, it's not really that useful, and you're going to be switching out pretty quick for another weapon since there are so many other better options to choose from rather than the Karma 45. Unfortunately, although this gun is pretty accessible, can be a little bit viable within the early rounds, I think it belongs in the F tier. It's just not powerful whatsoever and just pretty forgetful. Up next, we have the RPR Evo, a fully automatic ballistic firearm, and this gun also has an assault rifle mode which you can toggle, and honestly, this weapon, it's pretty decent. It's a mid-tier weapon in my opinion. It's not something super viable, it's not great when it comes to high rounds, but it's definitely something you might use on the odd chance, on the blue moon, and it is capable of helping you survive just a little bit within the first 10 to 20 rounds. But overall, it's not something you're going to want to be picking every time during each and every one of your runs. Up next, we have the HVR, and in all honesty, I really like this weapon. I think it's just above the G-Rail because in terms of damage, I feel like it always does pretty well. It's pretty viable in that aspect. Something that you're not going to be wanting to use after round 30, but in all honesty, I think it's a decent weapon and can stand on its own. I think it's pretty unique. I like the look of it, and it also has a fair amount of ammo, especially when it's double pack-a-punched, which can help you last a long time, which in this case, I think it fairly belongs within C tier, mid C tier in my opinion. The next weapon that we're going to be talking about, which I think most people would be using during their runs, is the VPR, a fully automatic ballistic firearm, and this weapon hands down is absolutely fantastic when it comes for Easter eggs. In terms of viability when it comes to a weapon being really good for Easter eggs is that it works harmoniously with high rounds as well. And the VPR is just a fantastic weapon overall. When it's double pack-a-punched, it's a beast in Beast from Beyond, no pun intended. In the other maps, you will have to get it from the mystery wheel, so in terms of accessibility, it will be a little tougher than that, but this weapon overall is so good on its own and with variants. I know I wasn't going to be talking about variants, but this weapon as well is just fantastic. I think it belongs at the top of A tier. Now up next we have the Trencher, and this weapon is okay. I'd like to say it's a decent point weapon. You can get it off the wall in some of the maps. Overall, this weapon is pretty forgetful. It's not the best, it doesn't do great damage, and in terms of viability within high rounds, it's something you're going to want to switch out. I would say it's in the middle of C tier, just above the G-Rail. And lastly, for our submachine guns, we have the Rajin EMX, and this weapon, I really don't understand the EMP launcher that detonates on impact. I feel like it just doesn't work within zombies, so in terms of that aspect, it's pretty terrible. And overall, the Rajin is just, it's a weird weapon. I don't like it. It's weird, it's confusing, not rememberable, not fun. It stinks. I don't know, I don't like this weapon. Now up next we have the Titans, the light machine guns, and these weapons, overall, they're all pretty decent when it comes to Infinite Warfare zombies. They're great in terms of viability for high rounds, and when it comes to accessibility, most of them, I think all of them actually, you need to get them from the mystery wheel. But if we were to start from the top, we have the Raw, the fully automatic energy weapon, and it's one of the weaker ones out of the light machine guns. Honestly, I'd like to say it's at the bottom of B tier because it still does decent damage, has a lot of ammo, but there are just better options for you to use. And anyways, it only gets better from here. A B tier weapon isn't even that bad. Now, at the very top of our list is something that I'm sure most people have used from time to time. That is the Mauler. This weapon is just a complete monster. You can use it within the Easter eggs, you can use it for high rounds, and in terms of accessibility, you will need to get it from the mystery wheel, but other than that, it's so good. It's one of the best in the game. I think obviously it's going to be above the FHR 40 without a doubt in my mind. Up next, and one of my personal favorite light machine guns, is the Titan. Now the Titan, it's a great, fast, and just really viable light machine gun in my opinion. I find myself using this thing all the time, and I don't know, maybe it's the aesthetic of the gun as well that kind of pleases me to use it more. But this weapon overall, it's just really fun to use. I don't know, there's something about it. If you want to talk about variants as well when it comes to the Titan, there's this one variant that makes you move a whole lot faster, and it's just so crazy. I feel like the more I'm going through this list, the more I'm talking about variants as well, so just take it with a grain of salt. Leave the variants just out of your head. This is just from my personal experience using this weapon. The Titan is just fantastic overall. It's in the middle of B tier. It's not at the top. Honestly, it is at the top. It's just great. Up next we have the Auger, and honestly, it's one of the weaker light machine guns. It's definitely going to be at the top of C tier because it just has so much ammo, but in terms of damage output, you're going to be wanting to switch this thing out pretty fast. It's a visually appealing weapon, and it's pretty exciting when you get out of the box. It just looks really cool, but it really slows you down, and I don't know, just something about the Auger as well. You're not going to be doing a lot of damage, you're not going to be using it for high rounds, you're not really going to be using this for Easter eggs. It's just pretty meh. And lastly, for our light machine guns, we have the Atlas, and the Atlas is also pretty forgetful. I think it's in the middle of C tier. I don't know, every time I get this thing, I want to switch it out for something else. I find myself running out of ammo really fast. In terms of viability, it's pretty good because it has that damage output, but for high rounds and just general accessibility, yeah, I know when it comes to accessibility, it's the same with the other light machine guns, but it's just something you're going to want to switch out. It's just not good when it comes to ammo and preserving ammo. It just fires it way too fast for my liking. And with that being said, now we're on to the sniper rifles, and first off we have the KBS longbow, the bolt action ballistic rifle, which is a one-shot kill from the waist up, or hypothetically a one-shot kill from the waist up depending on what round you're on. And honestly, I think it's at the bottom of C tier. The only reason why I'm putting it at the bottom of C tier and not any lower is because in terms of accessibility, you can buy it off the wall for multiple maps. For high rounds, you're not going to be using this thing, but in terms of viability, it can definitely save you from weird situations, and especially with the multi-collateral kills, yeah, this weapon is pretty good. Up next, we have the EBR 800, a semi-automatic energy rifle, which also has an assault rifle mode for automatic fire, and this weapon is amazing. I gotta say it's at the bottom of B tier because obviously I don't think it can outmatch the light machine guns or assault rifles, and standing on its own without any variants, it's decent. Now I know with the variants it's just a completely overpowered monster, which I think also creates an unfair balance, but other than that, if you want to try something different, get this weapon. Like the sniper mode, you can switch to the assault rifle mode and just have fun with it. That's the nice thing about the sniper rifles within Infinite Warfare, is you can have a lot of fun with them. Not feeling the vibe of the sniper? Well, just switch to assault rifle and just go crazy. Up next, we have the Widowmaker, and in my opinion, the Widowmaker, it's pretty bad. The Widowmaker is your standard bolt action ballistic rifle, and it's just pretty decent. It's not going to be a great get off me tool. In terms of viability, it's not the best. In terms of high round, it's pretty mid. And accessibility, yeah, you can buy it off the wall in some of the maps. It's just not going to help you get into the later rounds. It's not something you're ever going to be using unless you're maybe trying to complete Ghosts and Skulls, where you need to find some of the skulls outside the map, but even then you have other sniper rifles that you can use this for. The DMR1 is also just a mid weapon. I don't know, I really don't have anything to say about this weapon. I kind of forget it exists. I think you can only get it from the mystery wheel, but I could be wrong. It's just forgetful, that's all I really gotta say. Someone like myself who spent hours upon hours, days upon days in Infinite Warfare Zombies, I've never found myself wanting or using the DMR1. If I get it, I'm immediately going to switch it out for something else. The Trek 50, however, is definitely better than the DMR1, but it's still a mid-tier weapon. Now, if you have quickies, this weapon is actually pretty decent because even though it's a single-fire ballistic rifle, it reloads extremely fast and just can definitely get the job done. In terms of viability, it's not the strongest, but it can definitely be there within those early rounds. It's not that unique compared to a lot of other things. If you have quickies, it's definitely a weapon you're going to want to use, but by then, assuming you have all your perks, you're going to be moving on to better weapons. Up next, and definitely one of my personal favorites, is the Proteus. I love this thing. It's a pump action sniper shotgun hybrid, and I feel like it's really underrated. Now, I've seen clips of this thing when it comes to multiplayer, and it's just a complete monster, just overpowering everything. But in terms of zombies, it's pretty mid, but honestly, I think it's at the bottom of B tier. I love this thing. I find myself using it all the time, especially in Beast from Beyond since it is a wall weapon, so in terms of accessibility, it does well with that. For high rounds, you're not going to be using this thing, but for viability, yeah, I really like this thing, and I think it really works well within Beast from Beyond. It's super fun, it's easy to get, and it's just a very unique weapon in my opinion, and for the fact that it is this sniper shotgun, just, I don't know, totally not biased, by the way. Okay, now we're on to our shotguns. And the shotguns within Infinite Warfare in general are pretty fantastic. There's definitely some stinkers out there, but the first one we're going to be talking about is one of my favorites when it comes to this weapon list, and that's the Reaver. The Reaver is a fantastic wall buy. In Raven the Redwoods, I use this thing up until around 50 or 60, and it's just a monster to use. In terms of viability, it's fantastic. For high rounds, it's great, and accessibility, it's really up there. I gotta say, it's just below the NV4. It's fantastic in a lot of aspects. A really well-rounded gun. Unlike the Banshee. Now, the Banshee, give or take, it is a beginning wall weapon, or I guess like a mid-beginning wall weapon, since you can buy it after opening the first door in Spaceland, and I think it's the same within some of the other maps. But for a pump-action sonic shotgun, it's okay. It's gotta be, I'm honestly gonna put this thing at the bottom of F tier because you're never gonna use this thing. It's just a waste of points. There are better options, especially when you're opening up other areas of the maps and you have other guns accessible for you to use. This thing is just not viable, not good for high rounds. It's just not good in a lot of ways. There are better shotguns for you to use. The DCM-8 is a prime example of a shotgun that you're gonna get from the box once, use it, probably never use it again. It's gonna go right above the Banshee because the DCM-8 has a really big issue when it comes to ammo. I find myself always running out of ammo with this thing, and sure, it does quite decent damage, especially if you have a double pack-a-punch and you have bang-bangs, but other than that, it's really forgettable. Accessibility isn't great in terms of high rounds, you're never gonna be using it. Viability is decent. Like, it's not the worst when it comes to viability and surviving, but you're gonna switch this thing out because you're gonna be running out of ammo extremely fast. Up next, we have the Rack 9, and I don't know if you're noticing a common trend, but it's just I don't know, a pump action shotgun within Infinite Warfare Zombies, I feel like it just doesn't work or mesh well with the other weapons, especially over time as you're going through the rounds, opening up the map. The Rack 9 just isn't something you're going to want to use. The only time you're going to use this thing is if you want to level it up, and the only way you can get this weapon is through the mystery wheel, so the chance of you getting a better weapon is just greater than getting this thing, which is also the same for the M2187. It's just blah. And these are like in no particular order, they're all just the same when it comes to the bottom tier shotguns. I think they're all just, they're terrible. There's nothing good to say about the M2187. It's bad. This is bad. Shotguns in Infinite Warfare are just bad. Okay, now we're on to the classic weapons, and the classics are just, it's a chef's kiss, baby. They are so good in their own ways. I find myself using these things all the time, and starting off is the OSA, which I think is an S tier weapon. In terms of viability, this weapon is fantastic. For the fact that this weapon is also a wall buy makes it so good. And for high rounds, I found myself using this thing up until the mid 50s. Because I can just buy ammo over and over again, and sure, I'm flying through my rounds. It's just great. I love the OSA. If you haven't used it, you definitely got to use it, especially when it comes to the Beast from Beyond. You're going to find yourself using this thing. Now, the MacTav 45 is definitely a different story. I would say it's definitely in the middle of C tier. It's nothing too great to hit home about. For some reason, this weapon reminds me of the MP40. Like, it's something you're going to use if you open up the map a little bit. But once you get into the later rounds and you have everything open, say you're in the middle of the Easter egg, you're definitely going to switch this thing out for something better. There are just so many other better options to use than the MAC have, but overall it's pretty decent. It's good for getting points. In terms of viability, yeah, it's not the best. You're not going to use this thing for high rounds, but it's pretty mid overall. The TF-141 is just under the Widowmaker. I don't know. It's one of those weapons where I find myself forgetting about this thing all the time. Also, look, if you compare it to the Widowmaker, they pretty much look exactly the same. Also, you look at the description of this thing. It says bolt action ballistic rifle renowned for superior stability, handling, and unforgiving recoil. So I don't know why you're going to be wanting to use this thing if it has unforgiving recoil. The S-Savage is a pump action ballistic shotgun, and honestly, I find myself using this thing from time to time. Now, I know when I said it comes to pump action shotguns, such as the M2187 or the RAC-9, there's no point, but the RAC-9 just feels close to home for some reason, and it's honestly pretty decent when it comes to damage. I genuinely like this thing. Sure, you need to get it from the mystery wheel, but overall, if you want to use a fun shotgun, use that, or just use the Reaver, which is definitely a better option since you can buy the Reaver off the wall. If I were to put the S-Savage on the tier list, I don't think it'd be at the bottom of C tier. I think it would be just above the G rail. And then the M1, I don't know who actually uses this thing. It's in F tier. Just kidding. It's at the top of S tier, baby. It's at the very top of S tier. I use this thing all the time. Fantastic starting weapon. Double pack-a-punch is the beast. And not to mention variants again, but this thing with variants, just completely broken. Okay, now some other weapons that have been forgotten about. I guess we'll call this the forgotten category. So first off, we got the Stallion. Now the Stallion is only accessible through the mystery wheel, and it's pretty bad. I gotta say, it's at the closer end of D tier. It's nothing to really hit home about. It's a fun weapon to use, but it's going to be something you're going to want to switch out. The Hellstorm, which is a beginning starting pistol that you can get throughout each of the zombie maps, it's honestly pretty good. I find myself using this thing all the time, same with the M1. Great for points and just a really fun weapon to use. It only costs about 750 points. I find myself using this thing all the time within Raven the Redwoods, and in terms of viability, it does a pretty decent job, especially within those early rounds, but obviously when it comes to high rounds, it's not the best. But in terms of just viability and accessibility, yeah, it's a good weapon. I think it's at the closer end of, honestly, in the middle of B tier. I don't think it deserves an A tier spot, but it's definitely deserving to be in B tier for a pistol. The EMC was another weapon that was forgotten about, and in all honesty, I don't know, I think this is a bad weapon. It's nothing that you really want to double pack-a-punch, something you're not ever going to use. You get this thing and you're immediately going to want to switch it out. It's definitely above the shotguns, but in my opinion, it's just not worth getting. The Oni is a fantastic weapon when it comes to the starting rounds as well. In terms of viability, yeah, it will help you survive until you're ready to purchase something else, but for high rounds, it's definitely not good for that. It's a fun weapon though, and I think it's really unique. I love the design of this thing. It's something I always buy within Spaceland. In terms of where it belongs on the tier list, I think it belongs at the bottom of B tier because it's something you're not going to get all the time, but you're definitely going to pick it up more frequently than other starting weapons. Are you going to pick it up more than the M1? Probably not, but if you want to switch up your gameplay, the Oni is definitely the weapon you want to go for. Now, the Kendall 44 is at the bottom of S tier. You're going to be using this thing all the time when it comes to zombie Easter eggs, and in terms of just damage output, it's fantastic. The double pack-a-punch Kendall 44 is just unreal and can just save you through so many situations when it comes to specific parts of Easter eggs. In terms of viability, it's also going to save you because of the explosive damage. For high rounds, it's okay. I definitely wouldn't use it for high rounds because you're going to create a lot of crawlers and put yourself within sticky situations. But in terms of accessibility, well, you're going to be starting with this thing, so it's always accessible to you unless you're playing Challenge Shuffle or Beast from Beyond. I forget what this gun is called. I think it's called the UMP. But this is a great gun. I use it all the time within Challenge Shuffle. I really do recommend this thing. It does great damage. If you level it up and you put attachments onto it, it's genuinely a good weapon to use. It's in the middle of C tier because I think in terms of viability, it will help you survive, but it's something that you're not going to want to use within high rounds. Okay, up next, and for one of our final sections when it comes to the main weapons within Infinite Warfare Zombies, is the rocket launchers. And up first, we have the Howitzer, which is definitely one of the worst rocket launchers you can get. Don't think this thing is very good when it comes to damage output. In terms of ammo, it's pretty lackluster and also just a forgettable weapon. It looks more of like a shotgun than a rocket launcher as well, so it loses some points within that aspect, in my opinion. The P-Law, however, is pretty decent in my opinion. I think this thing, if you're getting at it, you're gonna use it for like 1 or 2 rounds, and that's like everything else when it comes to rocket launchers. So just above the howitzer, just above the P-Law is the Spartan. The thing that just really sucks when it comes to the rocket launchers in Infinite Warfare Zombies is the lack of ammo. And they're not even great get off me tools, because if you don't have bomb stoppers, you're not going to use these things because you're going to damage yourself, obviously. It's just not good in that aspect. It's just something you're going to want to use. Yeah, I wouldn't even say that. Something you're never going to want to use. And for one of the final weapons that we can use within Infinite Warfare Zombies when it comes to general weapons, this is something I forgot about. It's the G18, which it's a very, very forgettable weapon. You can only access it within the mystery wheel, and it's something you're not really going to want to use. I think it's in the middle of C tier because it is a fully automatic. It has decent damage output in terms of viability. Yeah, you can run around faster, but it's just something that you're going to want to avoid. There's really no reason for you to use this weapon. There's just so many other better options. And if you want a better pistol, just use the Kendall 44 and pack-a-punch that. With all the weapons out of the way, I think there's something important to talk about, and that is the wonder weapons within each and every map within Infinite Warfare Zombies. I don't think I did this last year, and it's something I also kind of wanted to touch upon because wonder weapons within the zombie maps are important. I'm going to categorize the wonder weapons a little bit differently as well. For the 3 aspects when it comes to ranking the wonder weapons, first off is going to be how memorable that wonder weapon is. Something as iconic as these staffs is something anyone can remember. The designs are great and they're just full of personality. The second aspect is how easy it is to get these wonder weapons, and lastly, how much ammo these wonder weapons have. Because for these aspects alone, it's also important to think about high rounds and how much ammo you have and how safe these wonder weapons are to even use. So with that being said, let's get right into it. For the wonder weapons as well with Infinite Warfare Zombies, I feel like it's only right to put it within its own tier list. So starting up from Spaceland, we have the Forge Freeze, which is something you unlock from the arcade, and it's okay. I gotta say it's in C tier because to get this thing, you need to get, I think it's around 500 tickets, and when it comes to viability and actually surviving with this thing, it's not the best. The look of this weapon, in my opinion as well, is pretty confusing. It is easy to get, but the ammo as well is pretty lackluster. Even when you double pack-a-punch this thing, it's just not, you're not going to get very far when you use it. However, for guns such as the Face Melter, Head Cutter, and the Shredder, I think they belong in A tier, but the Discord is our very first wonder weapon that actually belongs in S tier, and the reason why is because this weapon, hands down, stands on its own. It's great for high rounds, it can take out an entire horde of zombies, and in terms of getting the Discord compared to the others, I find it so much easier, less confusing, and really easy to remember. I think all these guns as well are just very iconic on their own. They're very visually pleasing to look at. It just fits that 80s aesthetic. But the Discord alone stands superior to all the other wonder weapon pistols we can get within Spaceland. Moving on to Raven the Redwoods, we have the Bat. I know the Bat isn't the wonder weapon, but just to mention the wonder weapons within the starting room, they're at the bottom. They're not viable. It's something you want to use. I think it's just something I just kind of wanted to bring up if you're wondering about the actual melee weapons. They're all the same pretty much. They're just reskins of one another. I think they're reskins of one another. I don't know. I've double pack-a-punched each of them and they pretty much just do the same thing, drop off around the same rounds. It's just something you're gonna want to ignore. Now, I know there's 4 bows and I just have 1 bow here, but in all honesty, I feel like each and every bow is just kind of mid. I'm putting it all in one place. I know some people might find that controversial because the trap bow is obviously great for high rounds, but in terms of viability, the trap bow isn't really the best. The Benjamin Franklin, which is the lightning bow, it's okay, but it drops off pretty fast. The whirlwind is definitely one of the better ones, and then the acid rain is just, I don't know. All these bows, very forgettable. They're very easy to get. And in terms of ammo, it's decent, but I just feel like they're mid, and it's something you're not really going to want to be using for the high rounds, except for the trap bow. But if you get surrounded by a horde of zombies, the trap bow definitely isn't going to save you anyways. I guess I also forgot the axe in Spaceland. This weapon, honestly, top of B tier. I unironically use this thing all the time when I get it from the mystery wheel, which give or take is pretty hard in terms of accessibility because you have to get it out of the mystery wheel. But overall, it's a great weapon. You double pack-a-punch it, you're going to be using it up until around 30. It does splash damage, which is fantastic. It's just a great weapon. Okay, we got the fighting styles, and I'm sorry that these things are hard to look at. They're I'm gonna place them first, and then I'll talk about it after. So at the very bottom, we have the snake, and this one is definitely the worst. When you level it up, it's just not too rewarding for the players, and it's definitely the worst out of the 4. Up next, we have the tiger, and this one is definitely a little bit better. Provides more, I don't want to say safe options, but just faster ways to kill the zombies rather than the snake. But then the next fighting style, which is the crane, is definitely the second best. The final move is absolutely fantastic. Easy for not only getting zombies off of you, but if you just want to get across an area faster, you can do that, I guess. The crane is good in that kind of aspect as well. But the dragon fighting style is 100% hands down the best. The final move is great for killing an entire horde of zombies or just keeping that constant flow of zombies coming in because it lasts a while. The dragon style is definitely the best within Shell and Shuffle. And in terms of melee options when it comes to Shell and Shuffle, the nunchucks are at the very bottom. It's just melee weapons within Infinite Warfare zombies. It's either done absolutely fantastic or it's not implemented the best, and the nunchucks just aren't that great. Especially for the length you have to go to unlock the nunchucks, it's just not worth it in my opinion. But the katana is an S tier weapon for the fact that it can shoot the dragon or wolf from it after you slice a couple times, and how it does infinite damage is just absolutely fantastic, and I definitely recommend you get this thing and double pack-a-punch it as soon as possible. Now in Attack of the Radioactive Thing, we have the Mad Wonder weapon, and honestly, I think it's at the bottom of S tier as well because you can get more ammo from the pods. It does infinite damage, and for the fact that you can crank it up and use it to run around, it really is a nice get off me tool. However, you need to make sure you have this wonder weapon out at all times because when you switch it, it loses that charge. It's just a little detail that is easy to forget about. And lastly, within Beast from Beyond, we have the Venom, and this weapon is at the top of D tier. It's extremely hard to get during a regular run due to the Morse code step, and even when you want to pack-a-punch this thing, it's a complete shit show. I really don't recommend getting the Venom until you have Director's Cut unlocked so you can get it out of the box and then pack-a-punch it. It's just not worth it other than that. So with that being said, what do you think about my tier list? Do you think I was just completely unhinged in some aspects, or do you think some stuff made sense? Just want to say thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, and as always, catch you later.